We're on to the big push now. All the winds of war have been released, ready for the start of the spring equinox. I'm going to try and get through as many as I can today, and hopefully they'll be going up soon. So we'll get them out in good time before the next event. Winds have arrived from the east, from Ossium, from our new campaign. Carve away the stone. It has been 6 months since that bright summer morning when the 4 armies of Dawn marched across the Golden Causeway and joined with the Golden Axe to conquer Ossium. Now the territory no longer belongs to the Druge. Following the fall of the Tower of the Scorpion, the Imperial Senate has declared it to be part of Varushka. Settlers and wagon raiders made their perilous journey east from Karsk, looking to found their fortunes in the new land. The Tower of the Scorpion now holds a garrison of Schlachter. The civil service has set up offices in Loma. Slowly but surely, civilization is coming to the newly conquered territory. But the Druge are not quite defeated. Parts of the territory remain in their hands as 383 YE dawns. The armies of the Malum have been hard-pressed, pushed south into Nearweald and the marshy depths of the Drownbark Forest, where scouts report they are preparing to make a stand against the Empire. Along the borders, the armies of Dawn and Varushka prepare for what many hope will be the final push that will surely see the entirety of Ossium in Imperial hands. The human armies are not alone, however. In the weeks immediately following the winter solstice, 5 armies of Thule head south from their domain in the Bonewood to join the Imperial forces along the borders of Nearweald and the Drownbark Forest. They march ultimately under the command of Grand Warlock Fialakul, who leads the Talons of the Wind. They proceed cautiously, vigilant against any threat of betrayal by the Empire. Nearly 30,000 orcs, all told. The Chasm of Thunder, the strange and savage dance of binding, the powerful banner of the Rhymehound, accompanied by all manner of strange beasts from the northern wastes. The Shard of Winter, their banners embroidered with the rune of Pallas, and Tychonus in golden thread, who pick over the dead when they fall and pocket their treasure. The commanders of each force liaise regularly with their imperial counterparts. In such meetings, the Grand Warlock takes the lead, advising from time to time by a quiet female orc, her face hidden by a voluminous blue hood, to whom he listens intently. She is not one of the commanders of the army, and unlike the other warlock, she is neither attired in mage armour nor equipped with rod or staff. Yet the Grand Warlock and the others show her great deference, and neither introduce her nor answer any questions about her presence. Spirits of Dark Water. There is a great deal of magic in Ossium in the wake of the winter solstice, and very little of it is imperial in nature. The armies of the Thule have their own enchantments, of course, but this season the Dornish fight without the support of the Fields of Glory. In the absence of the wonderful elfin knights of Eleonaris, the weight of the atmosphere of dread that blankets the Druge territory presses hard on many of the knights and yeofolk. They have always been aware of it, felt its spidery fingers in the back of their mind, but as the armies of Dawn ready to march south from Galath Fields and east from Bittershore, it seems more potent somehow. The weather does not help either. After the winter solstice it improves somewhat. The near-constant torrential downpour ends at last. But that merely means that the natural winter weather simply reasserts itself. It sleets most days. Chunks of ice form in open water, and the nights are cloudless, clear and cold. Being warm and dry becomes a luxury, and it is a rare soldier who does not develop a sniffle or a cold, or in some cases a full-blown fever. The Thule, perhaps unsurprisingly, are less concerned about the cold than they are the forest. A few grudgingly offer advice to Imperial soldiers unused to the cold, but for the most part they keep to themselves. While they are blasé about the weather, they tend to be much less sanguine about the forests in which they are fighting. There are few woodlands in Okhorov, it seems, and those are inhabited by... The orcs do not go into detail. Beyond the confines of a few grim stories of lurking horrors and hungry Valorn-spawn and angry spirits, they swap with the golden axe. Perhaps they are right to be nervous of the trees. The forests seethe with malign intelligence. Sometimes it seems every step is treacherous. More than one soldier breaks a leg or arm or a neck as a tree root twists under them, or a seemingly strong branch snaps under their weight. As with the invasion of the Webwoods, the forests actively protect the Druj and hinder the Imperial and Thule armies. Those who stray too far from the main bodies of the armies risk being lost and falling prey not only to Druj ambushes, but to more primeval threats. The beasts of southern Ossium, roused by Druj magic, provide an unpleasant reminder of how dangerous the Malum can be. The Death Stinger, for example, the Totem of the Huppel, accounts for perhaps as many as 50 Imperial lives over the course of the invasion. As large as pigeons, flying in small groups, these atrocious red and black wasps seem to have no fear of humans and inject a venom that can literally cause the heart of a warrior to explode in their chest. Then there are the snakes. Not only the vicious coiled vipers that lurk in trees and drop on unsuspecting scouts, but so many species of venomous reptile that it is impossible to number them all. Some take to sleeping in their boots, a strategy not without risks of its own, but one that means that they at least will not be surprised by tiny brown snakes or vicious fist-sized scorpions or the little nests of thumb-sized spiders whose bite can paralyze an arm or leg, and in some cases leave the victim's limb rotten and putrescent. Not all the Druj magic is as obviously dangerous as this, however. As the winter solstice draws to a close, vibrant spring magic bubbles up from the marshy ground and open water of the drowned bark forest, and spreads quickly across the entire territory. It fills the waters, the streams, the rivers, the scattered lakes and the dank marshy pools with life. Yet this is not quite the same as the ritual the Empire knows so well. While it heals wounds, it almost invariably leaves scars. In some rare cases there are reports of warriors whose injuries have healed, but who find themselves with unpleasant patches of fur, or bristles, or spurs of bone, or scattered scales, or permanent mottling and discolouring of their skin in unsettling patterns. These aberrations can be treated, the offending area of skin carefully removed and the wound healed with more wholesome magic, but it adds to the feeling of oppression and corruption in the forests of southern Ossium. A Dance of Shadows. A Dance of Shadows. The thick woodlands of Nearweald fall reasonably quickly before the Allied forces. The first engagements are probing strikes. The Eastern Sky, Griffin's Pride, and Hounds of Glory move carefully, a steady advance designed to minimize the loss of Imperial troops. The two Golden Armies, the Axe and the Sun, are even more careful, both engaged in a slow probing of the enemy, ceasing their advance where they encounter an enemy. The Thule likewise engage in cautious conquest of Ossium. In some ways, these strategies heighten the fearfulness of the southern woods, especially the Drownbark Forest. It is all too easy to imagine that there are Druj ambushes lying in wait behind every tree, deadfalls and spike traps under every drift of leaves. The Druj, for their part, are just as cautious. When they encounter Imperial forces, they fight quickly and then retreat, falling back and giving ground before the Empire or the Orcs of Olkadov are entirely aware they are present. It proves difficult to be sure how many Orcs the Allies are facing. They are simply too adept at concealing their numbers, of hiding until they are ready to strike. There are enough corpses recovered to guess at there being 3 distinct forces in the woods. Bodies and armour are commonly decorated with burning lizards, with pallid ants, and with hooded serpents. What few settlements are encountered in Nearweald tend to be abandoned and littered with traps. One Varushkan suggests stopping exploring them altogether and simply firing their roofs as soon as they are encountered, assuming that all sodden thatch and peat will light at all. In the Drownbark Forest, conditions are even worse. It becomes clear very quickly that the ground here is not sodden because of the recent rains, but because that is its natural condition. It is a great marsh, stinking and treacherous, overgrown with moss-swathed trees, and divided into hundreds of islands by cold rivers, streams, and pools. Some Druj take advantage of the groundwater, infused as it is with healing magic, to launch horrible ambushes. They hide beneath the surface of the waters, breathing through hollow reeds, or lie in wait half buried in liquid mud, or cover themselves in moss and bark to camouflage themselves against the trees. They attack only when they have completely surrounded their unsuspecting victims, or allow them to pass thinking the area is safe, and then attack from behind, or fall on the next group to pass through. It is noted that most of those who use such tactics bear tattoos, or have their armour decorated with images of hooded serpents. The Thule name them hidden snakes, and spit onto the mud when they do so. Nearweald falls first. The Druj caught in a pincer between allied forces move south from Galath Fields and east from Bittershore. Some retreat south across the borders of Ossium into Farweald in the Barrens. Others flee east and reinforce the defenders of the Drownbark Forest. Secrets and mysteries. The only major settlement in the southern forests, or rather the only one the Allies find, is in Drownbark Forest. A rude mass of buildings covering the broad sweep of a great, shallow, weed-choked lake. There are some defences, sharpened stakes, and wooden palisade and deep ditches full of stinking, diseased water. Here and there are broad pools of hungry mud that suck down any foolish enough to mistake them for solid ground. The Allies have seen such things before, however. The town of Orieb falls quickly. Those who do not flee are slain. With it seems, the spirit of the Druj is broken. Imperial troops search the settlement, finding clear signs that the town had some significance to the Druj. While many of the buildings are rude, there is a sprawling palace of weirwood and stone, half sunken into the lake at one end, its many maze-like rooms full of opulent furnishings. Serpents and scorpions and spiders leer from every tapestry, and are carved into the walls and ceilings. It would take days to map the palace of Orieb, and the armies have more pressing concerns, namely ensuring the last of the Druj are driven from Ossium. At the same time Orieb and its squalid finery are falling to the Allied forces, however, something unexpected happens. Reports are confused. There are few actual Imperial eyewitnesses, primarily from the Golden Axe. For much of the invasion, the Thule have been as cautious and careful as their human counterparts. In the immediate aftermath of the battle to capture Orieb, however, that changes suddenly and without warning. A major force of Thule suddenly surges ahead past the advancing line. The Shard of Winter recklessly carves a path past Orieb, angling towards the east, where by all accounts they intercept a column of Druge attempting to escape into the forest of Olnek. The northern orcs fall on the orcs of the Malum without mercy, and with little concern for traps or ambushes. The conflict is vicious. The Druge fight like cornered rats, while the Thule battle with grim efficiency. For some reason, the Druge refuse to flee, abandoning their usual tactic of melting into the marshes and woods when they are outclassed. Other Thule forces move to try and support the Shard of Winter, but they are too far out of position for them to reach them in time to make a difference. It doesn't seem they need help, however. This splinter force of Druge is outnumbered and outclassed. One by one they fall beneath the Thule axes and spears. Then, from the southwest, another Druge force appears. They are hooded and cloaked, with heavy scarves over their faces, and they emerge without warning from the dark between the trees, and fall not on the Thule, but on their fellow Druge. Caught between the fury of the Thule and the treachery of their fellows, the Orc column is torn to pieces. The Thule rally to face the newcomer Druge, and as swiftly as they appeared, they are gone, fled south through the trees. By the time the Talons of the Wind and the Golden Axe arrive, the fighting is done. There is no doubt, though, claim the Varushkan soldiers, that the Thule of the Shard of Winter are not happy, inasmuch as those humorless northern orcs are ever happy. The warriors of the Shard of Winter stripped and searched everybody, something they had been doing throughout the campaign, claiming valuables from their defeated opponents while the other Thule kept watch. Something is going on, say the Varushkans darkly, but they have no idea what. A task completed. After that, after the capture of the Palace of Orieb and the peculiar actions of the Thule, there is little more left than to mop up. The main Druge forces have fled Ossium to the south and east. There are still plenty of dangerous threats in the new Varushkan territory. There are Druge hiding everywhere, it seems, and who knows what might be lurking behind the trees in the trackless forest. It feels like a comprehensive victory. The Empire has lost fewer than 500 soldiers. The Thule likewise seem to have emerged largely unscathed. The Druge, by contrast, have suffered many losses, but it is difficult to do more than estimate how many given the conditions the campaign has been waged under. Perhaps 1,000, perhaps more, perhaps less. The lion's share of the Druge deaths were caused by the armies of Okudov. Their strategy was significantly less concerned with reducing their own casualties than that of the Empire. Such details are a matter for another day. What matters is that the Allied forces are victorious. The Druge are beaten, driven out, and the entire territory, apart from the northern Bonewold, of course, belongs to the Empire.